Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Got a couple things to hit you with on this Tuesday morning one. Mock Draft 3.0 is out. I'm sure you're just all super excited to hear what I have to say about who the 49ers are going to take in with the 11th overall pick in my latest mock draft. But first, some news around the NFL. A lot of teams now making roster moves, releasing veteran players at cap savings. And one of the latest is Davante Adams, the former Palo Alto High star who went on to Fresno State, second round draft pick of the Green Bay Packers in 2014. He is available. The Jets have released him. He was scheduled to make like 35, 36 million this season. Obviously, Jets weren't going to pay that for him. They put him out there on the trade market. There were no takers because obviously no team is going to pay him 35 million for this year. So they released him. The question immediately is I get the phone call or the text message from my desk saying, can you write something about Davante Adams? Would the 49ers be interested? And my number one thought was, of course they'd be interested. Who wouldn't be interested? Davante Adams is older. He did have a good season last year, went over 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns, and that's with two just miserable franchises, the Raiders and the Jets. And he didn't even play a full season. So he would immediately step in as the 49ers' number one receiver, no question about it. And, the 49ers wouldn't have to give up anything as far as draft pick compensation in order to acquire him. However, the main thing would be the contract. And, but there's an opening, right? I mean, Deebo Samuel is now going to be with the Washington Commanders, assuming he passes his physical, which we all believe he will. And so Juwan Jennings right now would be the 49ers' number one receiver with the asterisk right by Brandon Ayuk. If he's healthy, he would be the number one. He was the number one receiver the past couple seasons previous to 2024, but just no guarantees about how he's going to be able to respond from the torn ACL. And yes, I do expect Brandon Ayuk to be on the 49ers team in 2025, despite what John Lynch said at the combine, which is they'll listen to any team who wants to talk about any player. And he said that, they have received some calls on Brandon Ayuk. I don't expect that to happen. Maybe the likelihood increases if the 49ers were somehow able to get Davante Adams. So my takeaway for the 49ers and Davante Adams is I certainly would think it's a long shot because I don't know that the 49ers want to spend a whole lot of money to add another wide receiver, having just gotten rid of Deebo Samuel and his 17 plus $1 million pay for this year. However, if Davante Adams wants to play ball, if he wants to return to the Bay Area, if he wants to play for the 49ers, there is a way to make it work. There's always a way to make it work. 49ers are about 30 million under the cap. That's even with Deebo Samuel's $31 million in dead money. So there is the specter of Brock Purdy's contract looming out there, but 49ers can still get stuff done. No question about it. The question is whether they believe that signing a big time guy would prevent them in the future from being competitive. If at some point, if you keep paying that credit card spending and pushing that money out to the future, at some point you might have to tear it down. I don't think 49ers are close to that point yet. But when you have big money guys like Bosa and Warner and Kittle and Trent Williams and McCaffrey, and I'm probably missing a few because I just keep reeling these names off all the time. Whenever you have that many big time, big money players, at some point that price comes due. Obviously, with the salary cap rising so much every year, that kind of mitigates the risk that the 49ers would have in dealing out or doling out another big time contract. So my thought is that yes, the 49ers would have interest in Davante Adams. Obviously, it'd have to be at the right price. It'd have to be at a price that Davante Adams would say, I'm willing to play ball. So we shall see. I would think more than likely, as the 49ers look to add to their wide receiver room, somebody like Robert Woods, somebody like Keenan Allen, somebody who's not at that 1,000-yard level anymore in their career, but would be just a nice piece, a veteran piece, a reliable player, somebody who can step in and be the three or the four and kind of keep that spot warm until Brandon Ayuk is ready to get back out there on the field and make an impact. Okay, now let's talk about the mock draft. A lot of people mocked me, pun intended, for my selection of Tyler Warren with the number 11 overall pick in my mock draft 2.0. In my mock draft 3.0, which dropped at NBC Sports Bay Area.com. Check that out. I'm not going to go through the entire draft, obviously. But this time I did not have the 49ers taking Tyler Warren. And if you're thinking, that I've soured on Tyler Warren. I don't think that the 49ers would consider him, that they are going to go in another area. It's not that. I just have Tyler Warren going earlier in the draft. So in this mock draft, I have the 49ers not even having the opportunity to select Tyler Warren if they stay at number 11 overall. The guy that I assign to the 49ers is somebody who might not be there either. And based on what he did at the combine, and some of you guys guessed this in the comments yesterday, Armand Membou. He's 6'4", which is a little short for a tackle. He does have 33.5-inch arms, which is okay. It's better than Will Campbell, who's been up to this point the consensus first offensive lineman selected in just about any mock draft I've seen. He had that kind of crazy comparison of a player who's 315 pounds or heavier, and he's 330, has a 30 plus inch vertical and ran the 40 in under 5 seconds. The comps are since 2003, Trent Williams, Tristan Wirfs, Will Campbell, and Armand Membou. So the question with him, and he did have a formal meeting with the 49ers in Indianapolis, by the way. The question with him is he better suited for guard or for tackle? And so, I think it's maybe it's 50-50. I think some teams would probably view him as too short for tackle and not having just the range that you need to be able to combat those speed edge rushers. And also, he played right tackle at Missouri. Most of his time there at Missouri was right tackle. So, does he have the athleticism to play either side? That remains to be seen. I can't answer that question. He did say that some teams did talk to him about playing guard. And so, where would he fit with the 49ers? And I think it'd be one of these things where he's a good athlete. He can get out and run, which is a thing that the 49ers look for in their offensive linemen. So you have a number of possibilities. They will need a left guard, a new left guard this season. They re-signed Ben Barch a few weeks ago. They, will they look? I think there's, and I say this kind of tiptoeing around it. I think they're set or relatively set at the tackle positions. Obviously, Trent Williams coming back. They're set at left tackle. Right tackle, they have Colton McKivitz, who's, a okay right tackle. One of the best in the league? No, not at all. But it gives them some flexibility, and they could basically get Membou in, and maybe they've already seen enough of him where they have a strong idea of where he would fit. He would be a starter week one, no question about it, in my mind anyway. And that could be at guard or that could be at right tackle. And maybe you bump McKivitz inside to guard. So a lot of possibilities. To me, he would be the most likely Membou I'm talking about would be the most likely fit at number 11. The one guy that I'm just really curious about is Josh Simmons. I mean, he really does check all the boxes as being a tackle prospect that you would take at number 11. But man, that patellar tendon injury it's a big one. It's not the ACL. I posted on Saturday when he did confirm, Josh Simmons did, that it was the patellar tendon that he ruptured against Oregon in the middle of the season, or actually it was in mid-October. Dr. Narif Pandya, who is a presence on Bay Area social media with sports injuries and the such, he referred to, even though through the advances in medicine and surgical techniques and everything else, it's still 50-50 with a patellar tendon as far as a player being able to recover from that and playing, resuming high level play. Now, Josh Simmons said that he's far above uh, expectations as far as his recovery goes. He's expecting to do everything in a mid April pro day. All that remains to be seen, but I just can tell you the 49ers history with patellar tendons is not good. And, there are a lot of, around the league, it's not good. But just in recent history, it was Weston Richburg with a quad patellar issue, never was able to come back from that. Mike McGlinchey had that surgery, and John Lynch kind of intimated last week, that he's still feeling it, and maybe surgery isn't the best way to go with that injury. And then there's Drake Jackson, who's had a very difficult time returning, and no guarantees about him. Now, I don't know the specifics on each of those injuries and how it compares to Josh Simmons, but it's obviously something that with the medical reports being probably the biggest thing that teams glean from the NFL scouting report, or from the NFL scouting combine. I'm sure every team has their ideas, and some teams might not even have him on their board. Some teams might have him as the top true offensive tackle, maybe not above Will Campbell, although Campbell has the shorter arms, even shorter arms than Membou at 32 and 5/8 inches for Campbell. So those are some of my thoughts. I know for a long time I've been saying I don't expect the 49ers to take an offensive lineman with their first pick, and they still might not. But what Chris Foerster has said is, he prefers a playmaker over an offensive lineman early in a draft. That's why I had them taking the most unique offensive playmaker in this draft in Tyler Warren, number 11 overall. But Chris Foerster has also said that, certainly he was with the team in Washington that selected Trent Williams, and they certainly didn't regret that selection, nor did the 49ers regret trading for Trent Williams and then paying him a big time contract. So it has to be somebody unique that the 49ers would take as an offensive lineman at number 11. And in my latest mock draft, I have Membou being that selection at number 11. So check out my mock draft at NBCSportsBayArea.com. Tell me what you think. I'm really torn on the quarterbacks in this. Frankly, I I went to one college football game this year. I saw Miami play Cal, and I'm watching Cam Ward. At this point, I know nothing about the NFL draft. I know nothing about where these guys are slotted or how they're viewed. And I watched Cam Ward, and I saw, a really good talent, great, arm talent and everything else, athleticism. But I watched him just run around for 3 hours, and I never saw him throw on rhythm. I saw him hold on to the ball repeatedly, and just my knee-jerk reaction was, oh, this guy's not a first-round draft pick. He doesn't get rid of the football. Well, obviously, I'll be proven wrong. Some team will take him in the first round. Some team will take him high in the first round. Could it be Tennessee? Could be. Could it be the Browns or the Giants? Absolutely. He's not getting out of the top three. I can tell you that. But I'm skeptical about him because I think in the NFL, you got to be able to get rid of the football. You got to throw on rhythm. You got to be a system quarterback where the read is there. You get rid of it. I just didn't see that from Cam Ward. And I just thought like there was that element of hero ball of just being the most athletic guy on the field. You just run around, make plays off script all day. So we'll see. That was my knee-jerk reaction when I saw him in person. And like I said, I'll be proven wrong from my first reaction of, maybe he's a mid to late round first round pick. Well, he's clearly going number three overall or in the top three. And everything I'm seeing and reading and hearing and talking to people, he is quite clearly the consensus is he's QB1 in the 2025 NFL draft. So, okay, there are some quick updates on Davante Adams, on Armand Membou, whom I have the 49ers selecting at number 11 overall. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them in the comment section. Give me a like if you like this and a follow. Subscribe if you haven't already. And that is it for now.